Will the soundtrack kindly produce a sound? Go on. Don't be nervous. Go ahead. Any sound. Well, that isn't quite what I had in mind.
Well, that was fast.
That was so easy.
Man,
This is by far the best setup we've ever had, dude.
I just don't have the words. I thought, I genuinely remember thinking today that we were gonna get done early.
You thought that? That's bold.
Yeah.
That's bold thinking, dude.
Got me. Got me. I got myself.
I went into this like not knowing what to expect at all.
Mm.
I just knew that the A10 Mini Pro is coming in, and I was just like, we'll see if this works.
Hopefully it's working right now. We'll see.
We'll see. Is it working, Meggie?
I can see the TV. It looks pretty good. Like, I'm happy.
Good. Good. So,
How you been, man? Tell the people.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm glad we're finally recording after 3 hours. But other than that, dude, I'm good. Last few weeks have been a ride. You?
I feel like I've been trying to run 3 different businesses at once. Probably because
Pretty much.
well, the camper van is not a big deal until like the spring. Any other time, it's like nothing. But people book during these, March, April, May, June are like the biggest
Yeah.
months. And on top of that, the fencing that's also the 4 biggest months for the fencing company.
Mm,
And then we started the podcast this year too. So, and we're posting every week,
every week,
every
dude.
week,
Every week.
which I really loved. That's been so much fun. And just the people that we've met, the conversations that I started. I saw Johnny talking with Michael at church the other day.
Oh, really?
And I was like, wow, that is so cool. Like they met because of the podcast. And guys, it's been really rewarding.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the coffee shop is just it's the pinnacle, but we are living out the second floor experience right
Yeah.
now in different ways, and that's been really rewarding to see and hear, and just different people's feedbacks from it have been really really cool to hear, like my family and different friends and stuff that
Yeah.
have
Same.
listened to it that
Yeah.
have had a change of perspective or like a light bulb moment or something like that has been really, really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely just been cool to meet everybody. I love that we have guests on that like I'm literally meeting that night. Like sometimes like 20 minutes before we hit record.
I mean, the episode with Carly, we went almost 3 hours. And
Yeah.
that was your
Yeah.
first time meeting her.
Yeah. And you'd only met her a week prior.
Yeah,
I love that.
me too.
That's like one of my favorite parts about the podcast.
Mm.
And the fact that we're on this is episode 11? No, this is episode 12.
Yeah.
Well, if we post it.
Yeah, we might
next
save
week.
it.
Yeah.
We might save it.
But
We'll see.
the fact that we're on episode 12. That's pretty wild.
It is, and it's not just an audio podcast. They've
No.
all been video podcasts too,
From day one.
which is just a whole other level of production.
Yeah. Should we explain what happened tonight?
Yeah, I gotta process it because this has been tough.
It's taking it out of us right now, dude.
Yeah,
We are.
I'm low on
Yeah.
energy. I really was like, do I eat some espresso coffee beans and just send it for the night and then take melatonin to go to sleep, or do I just grit it out? And I'm just gritting it out right now, man.
Mm,
I know you can just take caffeine and then go to sleep and be fine.
most times.
I don't have that
Most
luxury, dude. I
times.
don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
So we got this magic board that's just been from
Yeah.
hell.
Okay. Well, okay. Let's explain what we've been doing.
Okay.
Right. So we had the 2 cameras, and so we record both angles, our guests, and then us 2. Right. So then what we would have to do is download those files onto the laptop, and then the audio is recorded through a different to a different file or a source, whatever. So then we have to sync that to the video
Mhm.
because the cameras aren't picking up audio. These are. So once that's manually synced, then we can edit each of the cuts for when either of
People
us are
talk.
talking. Yeah. And so on our last podcast, we discovered the Blackmagic A10 Mini Pro. And it was beautiful.
It's like when insert beautiful analogy here. I have no idea. My brain's not working.
Yeah.
It's like when you've been working with a hammer and a nail,
Yeah.
putting up fence pickets, and then you drive past another fence crew putting up a fence and they're using a nail gun. Like a
Dude, that's pretty
compressor
accurate.
nail gun.
Yeah.
And you're like, I didn't even know you could do that. I've
Yeah.
heard that there's different setups,
Yeah.
but I didn't know that you could actually, do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
That's
like
how it felt.
it's like poof, it exists. You're like, why
It's like,
aren't we doing
it's-
that?
Black magic.
It's yeah, literally. Because when we finished it, the last episode, and Josh was just like, yeah, I'll just Dropbox it to you.
I was like,
It's done.
huh?
I was like, wait. You mean I don't have to spend like 3-4 hours editing?
Dude, more like 6 to 10 recently.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. Well, those are from just freaking errors and stuff like that, but yeah. So tonight we got the Blackmagic Mini Pro, A10 Mini Pro. And so we're using it for the first time. And so we're testing it out. And we're setting it up. For some reason, it wasn't connected to the laptop. Figured out it was just the cord. We had the wrong cord plugged in. So
But I mean, we spent like at least 30 to 45 minutes trying to troubleshoot why it wasn't coming up
yeah.
to just figure out it was a different cord.
Yeah.
It's like a roller coaster. Like you hit a high, like, oh, we got this cool board, let's try it. Get everything set up, and then 45 minutes later, when you haven't seen it pop up yet, you hit a low.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's just a different chord, and you hit a high. And that's just what
And then-
the last 3 hours have been.
Yeah. Well, it didn't make sense because there was a video that said that you could use the USB-C to a regular USB
Mhm.
if you don't have the USB-C to USB-C, whatever.
Yeah. But that was not
So
the case.
it made no sense why it wasn't working, but that's why we made that how-to video to set the record straight.
to set the record straight.
So that worked We figured out the A10 Mini Pro. It works. Benji's back there cutting the videos up right now as we speak.
So theoretically, when we're done, all you'll have to do is just link up the audio and put
And
the
that's it.
intros and outros.
Yeah. And upload.
That should
Done.
be it.
That should be it.
Keyword should. I mean, we are not professional producers or videographers or audio engineers.
Nah.
We're just three dudes now with the dream and access to the internet and YouTube.
Yeah. Which seemingly hasn't been very helpful.
No, we're having to pioneer our own content to help ourselves.
Yeah. Gosh, I wish I had like Jamie from Joe Rogan on Sweet Dial. He could just come and set this whole thing up, bro.
Then we wouldn't appreciate it enough, you know?
I mean, yeah.
You know, we wouldn't get like that satisfaction of knowing the hours that we've spent trying to get this all figured out.
It's true. It's about the journey.
And if we never would have met Josh, like, how long would we have kept trying to use Autopilot?
Probably a long time, bro.
Long time.
Gosh. Man.
It's not funny. It's not funny.
Gosh, dude.
Just idiots sometimes. Oh, man.
Of all the stuff that Josh showed us, dude.
Ignorance is not bliss.
Yeah.
It's not.
Okay. So it's like what, like 10:30 right now.
Mhm.
Are we going for like a full? You want to go for like an hour? Do you want to hit this?
I mean, I say we hit like just a solid 30 more minutes.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay, so let's hit the hate comments,
Okay.
and we'll run with that.
Okay, so some good ones we got today. I was kind of disappointed because we weren't getting many recently.
We got some today.
No, it was like yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday.
Okay,
So it was on.
so these are fresh.
Yeah, these are fresh, and I was like upset because we weren't getting many recently. So some shout outs coming out for this is a short with Zach talking about his almost near death drowning experience. Someone wrote, this is Duke of Wisdom 9118 says it's more likely his brain shut down for a bit temporarily due to lack of oxygen, which is like, you know, I appreciate the critical thinking.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
And then
informative.
Soa Disturbed replied to him and said, "Why look for a scientific explanation when you can put blind trust in an invisible sky daddy?" ? Which that's one of my favorites. And I replied with "Sky Daddy is king" prayer emoji. So that one's pretty good.
That was pretty good.
That one is pretty good.
Sky
We have
Daddy.
the guy who wrote a literal essay in one of the YouTube comments for Carly's short.
Yeah.
And
I feel like-
I'll just read a few sentences.
Okay.
Someone has to define the relationship, establish an understanding of, quote, what are we? We used to call that, quote, going steady or being boyfriend and girlfriend. But unfortunately, with this current rash of outright lack of loyalty or commitment, in parentheses, on both sides, male and female, close parentheses, we're seeing in America, and giving how most young women in that cohort seem hyper fixated on current, seemingly shallow characteristics, and vice versa. These are all just commas. There's not been a oh, here we go. Here's a period.
Wait, I thought you were still reading.
Shallow
I was like, what is he talking
and
about?
vice versa. Men are too, but there's just a schism in the dating world and a ton of mistrust. So I do get it. That's one sentence.
Huh?
Yeah.
Holy
and
crap.
so it just goes on and on and on. Like, I thought he was trolling at first, but I think he was genuinely serious.
Gosh, dude.
Okay, so then we have a few other ones from. By the way, that was R. Wilbs.
R. Wilbs.
And then we have S. Cackley says, a grown-up conversation is when you do not use the word like 10 times in one sentence. Sam Tat G 8299 said, Jules, quote, say like again, MFer, end quote.
Like,
Rick Thaler said, and like duh, like FFS, exclamation point, which I have no idea what that means.
FFS.
Yeah.
Maybe we can ask him.
Clayton Robertson 4999 said like in all caps. So those are some candidates. And then
Okay, wait. I just want to. Who did the essay?
that was R. Wilbs.
I just want to say we appreciate that, R. Wilbs.
We do.
We appreciate the time you put into that
The
comment.
time.
Honestly, that was
Okay.
impressive.
Here's another. This was like one of, I think this might have been our actual first ever hate comment. Joshua McMahon 7862 said, if a girl I was talking to asked me this, I would just leave and not speak to her again. The fact that you're even talking to someone else to where the question of let's go on a date gets brought up, then clearly you aren't serious about me. That is so manipulative, and these guys here telling her that's fine are just simps. And then I replied with, who hurt you, Joshua? And he actually, like, he was chill about it, so that was pretty funny. And
Dang.
those are all the ones I could find. I think those are all the ones we have.
I think that one's got to be like a top 3 at least.
Yeah, top 3.
I think that one might. The Simps one.
Simps one is top 3 for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Sky Daddy might be number 1. Invisible Sky Daddy might be number 1. I do also like Jules. Say like again, MFer. I have no idea. I don't know what that's from, but I just love it.
Dang. Okay, so the winner of this, what do we want to post it to?
Yeah.
The YouTube channel.
Yeah, we'll post it on the YouTube
Yeah,
channel.
so it'll be up there for the rest of the season. This next season.
It'd be the winner of season 1.
Yeah.
Season 1 best comment.
Yeah. Arc 1. Yeah. So. Dang. Those 3 are good.
So let's just go. What's the criteria for this? I mean, to me, it's like most creative, most like piercing. Like what really gets to the heart.
The most. Yeah.
The
okay.
most hateful.
The
Like
most hateful.
But like, what's like the most just like, But it's also just kind of.
The Simps one sounded pretty hateful. That one's pretty,
Yeah.
like. I mean, we were insulted. He went out of his way to insult.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I mean,
the Sky Daddy, there's the creativeness. That's got the
Invisible Sky Daddy.
yeah.
He hit us with the. He really hit us with that. Let me find it again. Oh, man. Why look for a scientific explanation when you can put blind trust in an invisible Sky Daddy?
Yeah, we don't trust scientific explanations, dude.
No.
Never. Sky Daddy all the way.
We don't even consider another explanation first
Yeah. Why would we?
when we have an invisible Sky Daddy to trust. I'm trying to think, like, first impression when I saw each of those, which one cut the deepest?
Mm.
The Simps one was a unique experience because that was the first
It was
one.
the first one.
You know, that one
Yeah.
really, like, has a special place for me. But I'm not gonna lie, the Sky Daddy, it just, like, it 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 the way he wrote it, it drew me in at first. Why look for a scientific explanation like that? That drew me in, and then when you can put blind trust in an invisible sky daddy, just really like came around behind me and hit me upside the head. I just didn't
Gosh,
see it
dude.
coming. But like with Joshua's, I knew what was coming. I knew that he was upset,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think like overall elusiveness, I'm gonna give it to Soa Disturbed,
Which is
Sky
the Sky
Daddy.
Daddy. Okay. So that's your number one?
I'm gonna give him, yeah, that's my number one.
I mean, I can't. If I have a different one, what are we just going to do? Like a
Benji's our tiebreaker.
I do feel like the Sky Daddy one is more creative,
I feel like
and it
Joshua
makes me
was
laugh
venting.
every time
Yeah.
you say Sky Daddy. I can't help but laugh.
I think what I like about the Sky Daddy one is just the fact that you think he's upset and like angry and it's kind of hurtful, and then it just takes a turn and it makes you laugh. Like at first he's like, "Why would you put your blind trust in the sky?" And then all of a sudden,
That's true.
He could I mean he could have said God.
Yeah.
You know? But invisible Sky Daddy just brings it home for me, dude.
That's it. That's it. All right. What's his name?
Soa, SOA Disturbed. Soa Disturbed.
So Disturbed.
So
Congratulations, dude. You won.
You won. Best comment of season 1 of arc 1, the beginning. Man, that just healed me from the last 3 hours, dude.
Gosh, dude. That's great. Yeah, I'll try to edit I'll edit his name into the thing, and then
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, I'll throw it up there. See if we can. That's good. Well, do you feel empowered now? Is that the kind of holistic empowerment he mentions today?
That's the thing about second floor is like I just feel impenetrable. Like I feel like you can't hurt me,
Mm,
you know? And that's the thing is like when something would happen or someone would say something, I just could come on the floor and talk to you guys about it and we would just turn it into a joke. And I would just like rise above it instantly.
yeah,
It just wouldn't hurt anymore, you know?
so true.
that camera's off.
Well,
I wonder if it just goes black if it's not recording. Good thing we already wasted 40 minutes of memory.
now and forever. Hey, there we go.
It's on?
Yep.
Sweet. Where were we?
Empowerment.
Gosh, dude. I feel like lately I've been on this, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot lately about this whole I guess, empowerment thing, like whatever you want, however you want to say it, like self-actualization or
You should like
mm,
frame for
mm,
people what what we've been talking about.
I'm still trying to frame it in my brain. I mean, I guess it's kind of just, it's like manifestation. It's like what you've talked about, where this vision of the kind of person that you want to be, or the kind of place in life that you want to be, and you have that vision, you have that dream,
Hmm.
and instead of just kind of hoping that you're going to get there
Hmm.
someday, you live it now as if you're already there. It's that self-actualization of
Mm,
being in the trying to set your mind, or I guess acquire the type of mentality that person would already have. So then it would only just make sense that you arrive there, right?
hmm.
Would that be a good way to put it?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So,
It's being who you want to be in your ideal dream, and then doing the things that that person would do to eventually have and live out that reality,
yes, right,
instead of doing it the reverse, which is what most people do, is they
right.
try to have the things, then they try to like have do be have the things, do the actions, be the person.
Yeah. It's the mindset of, oh well, okay, like once I have this, then I can do that. But
Yes.
that's
Yes.
not what you want.
Right.
That's the kind of mindset that oftentimes holds people back.
Hmm.
So I know it's held me back from a lot of things, probably. But um, going back to, I guess a few weeks ago when I had the car accident,
Hmm.
that was, okay. Let me backtrack a little bit. I've been thinking about this whole empowerment thing, right? And I think that, hmm, okay, my mind is going in two different directions. We're trying to think of which way I want to go. There's like this idea of struggle that I've been pondering, right? And then this idea of also change. And I talked to you about this not long ago, where, okay, yeah, I'll start with this. So I talked to you about this a little while ago at our place, about this whole like um, self-empowerment thing. When you want to acquire that kind of mentality, and you kind of like start this path of trying to, achieve this goal or become this person or be at this certain place in life, whatever. I've just been really thinking about the power of uh, making a decision to change. I guess just thinking about change in general, I feel like people oftentimes, it seems to me, like there are a lot of times where people want to change, but it just doesn't, it seems to me like it doesn't happen very often. Like
Yeah.
people, either people, I wrote this down earlier, but do you see what I'm trying to say? Like, it seems like,
People want to change, but they don't.
yes,
And they say they're going to change,
but it's like almost like they never do.
but they never actually change where they're at.
Yeah. And I think that is because they haven't actually made a decision.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like
Yes.
at some point there's a line that you kind of have to draw, and you have to mentally, maybe even like physically sometimes, cross that line and tell yourself like I'm deciding to make this change. And then you
Mm.
have to commit to that decision. Maybe even over. Maybe you have to. I mean, maybe for some things you might have to make that decision over and over
Mhm.
to truly commit to it. But
Yeah, Theo Vaughn has a quote where he says, "Man, if things don't change, things don't change." Like, if things don't change, then nothing changes.
yeah,
And it's funny, but what he's saying if is the same thing you're saying. If you're not willing to actually go out and make a change, then your life, the position you're in, won't actually get any better.
right, right. Because I felt like with me especially, there were, I guess, just like habits, like bad habits and things that I just was feeling like I just kept like falling back into,
Yeah.
or even just like disciplines that I wasn't able to keep up with that I wanted to. And at some point, I kind of just like thought about it. I was like, dude, like, why can't I just be committed to this? Like, how come I keep on having these setbacks?
Mm.
And how come I'm not becoming the person that I want, that I see myself like wanting to become?
Mhm.
And I just told myself, I was like, you haven't made a decision to. You're just like kind of, I just felt like I was just hoping to get there. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that, just being conscious of the decision and committing to that decision has been huge for me these last like probably couple months. And so going back to the car accident that I had
Yeah.
a few weeks ago, I remember in that time, and so this also ties into the whole like this idea of struggle that I mentioned. So when that happened, I remember like, I had the whole wreck and I'm like driving my car, just inching it into my workplace.
Yeah.
And I stopped and I was like, I mean, in a situation like that, the first thing I could do was just laugh. Just like another doodad. Here we go. And so I just remember thinking like, okay, this is just a doodad. How am I going to respond to this? Am I
Mm.
going to choose to just like I could choose to just be upset and allow this to ruin the rest of my week or whatever, or right now I can choose, okay, how am I going to make this opportunity work for the better of me, I guess.
Mm.
And so, and that was so huge because literally like that day, it was just like it's just a doodad. And that was it. And it sucked. The whole thing sucked, but I felt okay.
Yeah.
I felt like this is just a thing I have to get. It's just an obstacle.
Mm.
And so it's just a struggle. And so, okay, I did write this down today because I wanted to remember. And I'm not going to remember after those 3 hours of freaking figuring all that out. So this is what I wrote down. Okay, this might be cheesy, but I don't care. So I wrote, to be a healthy individual and perhaps an empowered individual, you have to love yourself. And so then I said, but there's a fine line between loving yourself and idolizing yourself or becoming self-conceited. So for a long time, I've been trying to understand how to do this. I don't want to become prideful because that's such a dangerous path. Like in Christianity, right? That's how I've always felt. And so how do I love myself in humility? And so I heard it said like some time ago that self-discipline is the highest form of self-love. And so I think that I'm finally starting to understand why that is true. Loving yourself does not mean making your life easier. It does not mean indulging in meaningless pleasures. It doesn't mean spoiling yourself or even treating yourself. Loving yourself is disciplining yourself. When you discipline yourself, you better yourself. You become stronger. What better way to love yourself than to better yourself? Discipline yourself in exercise, in your diet, in your pleasures. Embrace and maybe even look for difficult opportunities. Because taking on difficulty will make you better. So loving yourself is learning to enjoy the struggle because the struggle is good. It's the key that unlocks improvement.
Dude, that's deep, man.
I mean,
Self-discipline is self-love.
it's the highest form of self-love.
Mm.
And I find that so true because I guess in that moment, like, I mean, it just, like, discipline is hard. Discipline is it is a struggle to be disciplined. But struggle is the key to improving yourself. If you're never struggling, then you're either going to remain complacent or just backtrack. And so, I don't know, dude. That was a whole long jumble of thought that I've been on lately. I don't even know if it made sense. But
My blood sugar alarm's definitely about to go off again, which is awesome. But you set me up really well to talk about something that has also been on my mind and something that I feel like God really revealed to me as well. So I talked about, actually I didn't talk about this at Young Adults, but I wanted to. And I was watching this video by Jordan Peterson where he was talking about Jacob wrestling with God in the Old Testament. And he says Jacob wrestles God and is named the leader of God's chosen people. And was talking about how basically that's what suffering is wrestling with God. And I got this whole like revelation from it, so I'm going to read it too. Talking about when I roll in jiu-jitsu with another person, I come out of jiu-jitsu basically covered in other people's sweat. I literally smell like a few different people. It's disgusting. And when I started to think about how long Jacob was wrestling God, which was all night, either God was covered in Jacob's sweat or Jacob was covered in God's sweat or both. Meaning Jacob not only walked away with a new name or identity, which is what most people will talk about. His was named Israel. After that his identity was now the leader of God's chosen people, but he smelled different. He literally smelled like God. Everyone always talks about how he walks away with a limp, but the dude was literally smelling like the King of Kings. And like when we suffer, God is right there with us. He's so close. People can smell him on us. And that's why I think Tim Keller talked about his closeness with God like an elevator going down to his soul. And he was talking about how in his last days of life, when getting sicker and sicker, he felt closest to God. I think that's why God talks about the two becoming one in marriage and then calls himself the bridegroom and us the bride. He wants to be so intimate with us that we smell like him. And that's uncomfortable for us to imagine or talk about, so we kind of mute it or dilute it. We only talk about Jacob walking away with a physical limp or spiritual name/identity. We fail to look at the whole picture and think about the mental toil he went through that night. How many times he must have wanted to quit. The emotional confusion it must have felt like to wrestle with your Creator. Make no mistake, Jacob took on chronic pain for the rest of his earthly life for that W. Don't you realize when Jacob walked away after winning, it cost him not just his leg, but everything. Afterwards, when the mantle of leadership became unbearable, how much did he long for his old identity, his old habits, his old yoke? Did he romanticize it like the Israelites did to Egypt? And I wrote, like, it cost Jesus everything to sacrifice himself, and he asks no less of us. Jesus was so intimate with us that he smelled like sin, like us, on that cross in every way, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so that you reminded me of that when you said, when you're talking about your struggles. And I think that, I don't know, I just think that when we struggle, we wrestle with God. And spiritually, we come out better.
Yes.
Come out refined.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
I guess, where I was going with that.
Yeah. It was funny because when that wreck happened, it's just funny how, especially in my life, how, like, crisis events have always, I've realized, like, a pattern where crisis events in my life have always been like a catapult for, like, self-development for me. And so I remember thinking, sitting there in the parking lot in my car, like, right after that happened, I was like, is this it? Like, it's gonna be one of those months. And, like, sure enough, like, that happened. Then shortly after, all the problems with the Autopod and everything, all the editing problems, like the wedding, all the money I had to spend, all that time, and then come back. I don't know if you knew this, Benji, but literally last Monday night, driving home from the podcast, I got a ticket because my car, I'm unable to drive my car, so I have to drive. I'm driving my truck around, which is not registered, and
There's another one in there.
oh, the battery.
Yeah.
Yeah, he brought another one in there.
What's up?
I was making sure the display stuff, because the display stuff is on the screen on there. So
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Gosh, I love technical difficulties.
Me too.
Where was I going? I was talking about the wreck. You were talking about struggles.
Everything you said, everything that was going on with Autopod was happening.
Yes. So I remember, yeah, like I said, I remember being in my car and, like, okay, like, almost like just preparing myself mentally for, I just felt like a storm's coming. And so, but in that moment, I decided that, okay, how am I going to become better out of this? Like, how am I going to come out on top through this? And literally, like, I guess, we got the car fixed last Saturday, went to the wedding, had a great time, podcast uploaded, good to go,
Yeah.
everything. And, like, and I genuinely feel like I have come out of this last month way better of a person than I was literally a month ago.
Sold your
Like,
dirt bike.
Sold my dirt bike. Yeah, dude. got a lot of crap done. Even then, I mean, even on top of that, I feel more disciplined.
Mm.
So it's just been really cool to see that. Like I'm realizing in real time the power of the struggle. Like trying to see struggle as a good thing and almost welcoming it because I know that it's going to make me better instead of like trying to avoid it,
Yeah.
you know? Like instead of being worried when a difficulty comes up, which is so hard not to do that. It's so difficult to not be anxious or worried or stressed when these things come up.
Yeah.
But if you're looking forward to it, if you can even do that.
Yeah. No, I almost get anxious when I'm comfortable sometimes when things are going well
Mm,
because I know there's a correction coming
on the horizon.
on the
Yeah.
horizon, and I almost feel more comfortable now when things are uncomfortable. After I get over that initial anxious and stress,
Yeah.
anxiety and stress, um, I kind of settle into, okay, God, it's just you and me. Let's get through this. What can I learn from this?
Mm,
How did I end up here? Is this just out of my control? If it's out of my control, then
and it's out of your control.
there's a point where the amount of anxiety or anxiousness towards a certain outcome, like if I'm worried about something, the
Yeah.
amount of worry becomes, it becomes, how do I describe it? It becomes like not, becomes not as heavy
Mm,
as the thing itself. Like, oh, I just have to do this thing, which is scary, but it's not as taxing as the worry itself. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna focus on getting this done and leave the worry aside.
yeah.
And then once I get to that point, I'm like, okay, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as how much energy I'm putting towards worrying about it.
Right. Right.
Like maybe use a speech, for example. Going up on stage in front of people, you're worried, preparing everything. Oh my gosh, am I going to sound okay? Does my speech flow well? Is the material going to be compelling? I'll work myself up so much to the point of the fear of doing the speech is actually less than the worry I have for the speech itself.
Yeah.
And so like once I get to that point, I'm like, oh, okay. It's just a speech.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like a mind thing, but when I get to that point, I'm good.
Yeah. I think I see what you're saying.
I did not describe that well at all.
I feel like for me, a lot of times in situations like that, I try to tell myself. I can point to a specific example. When I was in high school, my senior year, every senior year, I went to a private Christian school. So every year, like the seniors, there's a chapel. We had chapel every week. So every year, the seniors for one chapel would run the entire chapel. So like they would do worship, they would do the sermon and like everything, right? So for my senior year, we had like there were like 5 of us seniors, and we all like did like a sermon together. And so that was the first time I'd ever done a sermon ever, and I was doing it in front of my entire school. So
Jeez.
that was like a pretty, and I'm not like a public speaker. Like I've never enjoyed that attention like that. So that was, I practiced so much for that freaking sermon, dude. But I just remember thinking, like, okay, like, this is what would help me get past the fear was, okay, like, what's the worst that could happen?
Mm.
As I go up there, the absolute worst thing that could happen is I look like a complete idiot.
Accidentally
And
fart and the microphone
yeah,
picks it up.
yeah, I throw up or like, or literally anything. And maybe I get made fun of for the rest of my life by my high school friends. But that's it. That's it.
That's it.
That's literally it. And it's like, okay, can I survive that? Yes, I can survive that. So then it's like, okay, if that's the worst thing that can happen, then so be it.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I do the same thing. I'm more focused on like okay, I'm just gonna get up there and I've prepared well. That's a big thing for me. If I
Mm,
don't feel like I've prepared well,
yes,
I get
I'm very much the same
very,
way. Yeah,
very nervous. But
yeah,
then if I feel like I've prepared well, I can sort of bank on that, stand on that, and then think about everyone else up there is just as nervous for me as I am nervous
mm,
to do well. They want me to do well too. No one wants to sit in the crowd and watch someone
yeah,
up there. That just is terrible. I get secondhand cringe so bad when that
yeah,
happens. And so I just think about, they're going to applaud me for being up there and doing something that's difficult or doing whatever difficult thing it is. And I'm going to feel afterwards a feeling of relief and reward for doing a difficult thing. And I treasure that feeling.
yeah,
I enjoy that. And that to me is worth what I'm about to do, whatever difficult thing it is.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, even this past month, I've just been writing down like in my notes, just different kind of like challenges throughout the week and like disciplines really. So like,
Hmm.
I mean, I told you I haven't like, I mean, this is just like a small thing, but I haven't had soda in over a month.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to just improve my diet. And then I'm trying to make sure I hit the gym, 3, 4 times a week at least.
Yeah.
And just like little things, staying on top of it. And then even on days like where I don't like where I wouldn't even on days where kind of like on Thursday where we had the Bible study and like I go from work to home and straight to uh the Bible study, I was like, okay, I have literally 10 minutes. I can get a workout in my backyard. So
Mm,
just get a workout in. Just do it. And just like training myself to have that kind of discipline,
yes.
Just do it. And you have to decide to be that kind of person
Mm,
that just does it. So I'm trying to decide to be the kind of person that welcomes the struggle. Because that is the key to becoming a better person.
100%. And one thing that's weird for me right now is going throughout my regular week, but then having this super high of a podcast where we get to talk with this awesome person, whoever it is, and then we have this like really cool experience with them. And to me, that's like what I want to be doing all the time.
Yeah.
And that's like a Monday night, typically. And then Tuesday through Friday, I would say, is when Monday through Friday is when we'll do the work of posting clips and
Yeah.
doing all that. But I'm like running this fencing business, doing my regular job. And now I have this contrast between I'm doing partly now what I really want to do, and partly what's necessary.
Yeah.
And then Fridays we go hang out and we get to debrief, and then Saturdays we usually do something to kind of get ready for the podcast or something like that,
Mm.
and then Sunday's church. And that is sort of the Friday night through Monday night is where I feel like I'm really living
Yeah.
that vision. And then the other times of the week it's kind of doing what's necessary. And so that's been really weird for me to get used to now. But I feel like I've found a good groove. And I'm also thinking about, okay, when we have this coffee shop and we're showing up there every single day and getting to do this stuff that we've been dreaming about, what's something that you're going to miss about this time? And
Mm-hmm.
part of what I'm going to miss is having a whole week and then just having one night to catch up on the whole week,
Mm.
instead of it just being like, us all hanging out every single day. That could get old. It could take away from some of the fun or something.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I think that it's like we won't all be at the coffee shop all the time. Like we'll be doing different things, and we'll be traveling probably for the podcast and getting ready for different stuff. And
Yeah.
there'll be different things, but that's one thing I'm like, okay, that's something I can look forward to now of just being able to go see movies together and stuff like that, where it's like when we're together, it's not work,
Yeah.
right?
For
But like
sure.
when we do the coffee shop stuff, it's gonna be work. But even though like this, we spent 3 hours doing, which was like frustrating, but it's not. I wouldn't consider it hard work,
Mm.
because to me, hard work is doing something that I don't want to do. Like I could work long doing something I want to do, and most people call that hard work. To me, that's not really that hard.
Yeah.
But if I have to do 30 minutes of something that I absolutely abhor, then that's going to be really hard for me to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Those are some things that I think about a lot, where I try to look at, okay, what in my ideal world do I see myself doing in the next few years? Okay, then what am I going to miss from right now?
Yeah.
Let me focus on that and enjoy that. And that helps me to be more present.
Yeah. It's very true. Yeah. I think it's good to appreciate the struggles that you have now,
Hmm.
for sure. And like kind of like you said on Saturday, there's a moment where we're all standing there, like getting in the car back together and everything, and you were like, dude, we're gonna miss these times. And it's so true. And that was such a good time.
It was.
Like, it's so frustrating that it is literally, zero exaggeration, a 3-bolt project. 3 bolts you have to remove.
To change your control arm on your
Yeah.
car.
And it took us what, like
2 hours, probably.
2 hours?
I'd say probably.
Okay, it felt longer than that. But
It
I don't
might have
know.
been.
I don't know, but still, way longer than the 15-minute video. So that's just usually how those things go. And I know there's gonna be a day when it's like, maybe we're like in our 30s and we're at the coffee shop or doing whatever, and it's like we're gonna have some crazy problem. It's gonna be like, dang, dude.
I wish it was just as.
Yeah, remember we were just working on the car, and that was it.
Yep.
Remember we were just having camera problems, dude, and that was it. Like, yeah,
That is so true, Zach.
yeah,
Man, that is so true. Yeah, I can compare that to like fencing, where when I first started, it was like, I'm super frustrated about the crew not showing up, or something's going wrong with the materials or something on a job. And I knew that I would miss like seeing the crew, getting them started in the morning all the time. And now it's like, I do enjoy what I do now more, for sure. And there's times where I have to do things managerial wise, which are much more, they're just much more difficult and
yeah,
higher stakes.
yeah,
And I'm like, man, gosh. Sometimes I like when I can just go do a repair project, because I can just check out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think back even just to when we were at SAGU,
mhm.
and I remember being at SAGU and in those moments thinking like when I have like 3 8-page papers due within like 2 weeks, I remember thinking in those moments like, how am I gonna survive this week? And here I am 4 years later. But
True.
thinking back in those times, it was some of the best times of my life. Like,
Mhm.
so
Hmm.
it's just a matter of enjoying and appreciating the time that you're in now.
And I'm realizing that is true, uh, like wealth, because there's so many people, and it gets said a lot, and so it kind of becomes cliche.
Mm-hmm.
But there, the more I get into the whole business world, the more I see people consumed by it to the point of like they're doing so much that people would look at them and be like, wow, you're really doing a lot. You're successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, they don't have any time for themselves.
Yeah.
They're constantly going. They have no mental peace. Everything, their brain is just always going, 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 going. And for me, that is not successful.
I agree.
It's
Yeah.
not what I want. And I've had to come to that realization where it's like, I I love getting to come home to my wife and get to talk about my day and be able to go on a date night and be able to have a night free to go with you guys and all that stuff. That to me is, and to have time for future kids, that to raise them the way that I feel like I want to raise them. That to me, and enjoying each day, that to me is how I want to build wealth in a
Right.
sense. And that requires other things too, in terms of making enough money to be able to have the time to do that, of
Right.
course.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that I have to wait until that to practice it. I can
Yeah.
practice that right now. And that's added a lot, I would say a huge amount of, I don't know, lifestyle joy in my life,
Mm.
just to where I can wake up each day and I'm not worried or anxious as much or much. Um, Work through problems a little bit faster. And I think that's where you're talking about how that struggle has made me appreciate that more, made me realize, wow, I don't want to live anxious for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to live frustrated. I don't want to live this way. And so, man, just finding the joy in the little moments. It's cliche because people say it a lot, but it's harder
Yeah.
than it's simple, but it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
It's not a difficult concept to understand, but it's very difficult practice to do every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I mean, for as long as I can remember, it's you hear the whole like, don't be afraid of failure, like all the successful people, all whatever like one-liner quote you want to
Insert.
find, yeah, insert there, like failure is a key to success, whatever, right? And it does become very cliche, and for so long I felt like I understood that. Like yeah, like I'm not afraid to fail, really. Like I'm okay with failing, like, and I know I'm gonna get back up or whatever when I do fail, but now I feel like I'm having that mental shift where I almost am looking like, because before I was okay with the failure, but I was always trying to avoid it as much as possible.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have failure, but now it's like realizing that failure is almost necessary, and and to become better, to truly become better, like you want to be able to accept, maybe not, I don't know, embrace failure, almost even look forward to it. Like I was saying, looking forward to the struggle because you know that it's going to make you better instead of trying to just avoid it all the time.
Yeah.
So you're just wasting so much time. You're wasting so much time in just hoping that you're going to get it right the first time, or that somehow it's just going to work out for you. That's just not realistic. And I'm realizing that is the key, I guess, mentality that many of these successful people have figured out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we're all trying to live this Instagrammable life
Yeah.
where everything we do is a highlight. It's like a post or a reel or something, when in reality that's not reality.
Right.
And I think that's a way that, again, cliche, but social media is just so misleading. It's so misleading. Like the people I look up to the most are the ones that have the least Instagrammable
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I feel like now, I guess here's kind of my question following that. And I know it's hard, we're already kind of getting a little long, so we don't have to go like crazy deep into this, but now trying to, I guess, translate everything we've just been talking about into my faith.
Hmm.
And that's been like, I feel like I'm just starting to scratch the surface of that.
Me too. I mean, I will say a big way I've been doing that, and it's also simple, is just making a mental cue that anytime I go do something, just to ask God to be with me.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Anytime I go, I'm ready to work out, getting ready to go talk to someone,
Yeah.
have a conversation, do something, I'm just like, Lord, will you be with me?
Yeah.
You please lead me, please. It's just that's what I've been learning a lot, is just the simple outcry, the simple prayer.
Yeah.
It triggers the focus back towards God instead of on me or
Hmm.
my problem. That's what's been helping me a lot, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I do that a lot. I would usually do the same. And just kind of trying to be just aware, like just conscious of God at work in my life,
Hmm.
even in just subtle things, like
Mm.
even in just mundane things, like being at work and just laboring away for hours. But it's like, I don't know, just being, just setting my mind on Him and allowing Him to be just there, I guess. Or just, I guess, just recognizing that He's there. And, but now it's okay, how can I like take that further? How can I truly make that like a habit in my life
Yeah.
where I mean, I feel like obviously there's not a point where we'll have that, I think, figured out or whatever. That's probably something we'll be working towards until we die. But yeah,
Simple but not easy.
simple but not easy. I'm excited for you to read this book, dude.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped. Yeah. I leave for my trip tomorrow, man.
I know. How do you feel?
I'm nervous. We got it all planned out though. So this is my first solo trip, and we got a connection to a guy in California who uh, owns 3 coffee shops and a coffee roastery business, and he's offered to basically peel back the curtain and show me the inner workings of it all, how it works, the numbers, and that's something that we've really been needing, or would have needed, to get into the actual physical space coffee game.
Yeah.
And so this is a huge action of do before you have,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, well, there's not going to be a necessarily like a direct result from this. Like I'm not going to go there. He's going to gift me a coffee shop. Like
Right.
that's not going to be a direct result. So some people will see that, and heck, I've questioned it, being like, why am I? This is kind of why it's kind of weird that I'm just going out and meeting this guy who I've never met before. He was an introduction. I've talked to him once on the phone,
Yeah.
and I'm going to spend the whole day with him. I've never flown like solo before, but I'm doing this all just because I feel called or feel like this is my mission and vision to own a coffee shop. So the next logical thing is I got to learn how to run one
Yeah.
and run one successfully. And he has one that's doing really well, one that's doing mediocre, and one that's not doing so great. And so, I mean, how important is it to have someone like him to be able to call and like, hey, we're trying to figure out how to find a supplier. How do we do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's insanely valuable, but you have to be willing to go do these things first before you see that result. And so this is me trying to live out that principle,
Yeah.
I would say.
For sure. I'm sure they'll have a good time, dude.
Yeah, me too.
What part of California is it again?
Oakland, near Oakland.
Oakland. I'm gonna pretend I know where that's at.
Yeah. My flight, the only way I could do this was to do like the cheapest flight I could get was during the week. So because of my schedule, I could make it happen. But I'm flying out at 5 o'clock p.m. tomorrow. Not gonna land until like 11:15 a.m. Well, there's like a 4-hour layover.
Yeah.
And then land in California in Oakland, California.
Oh, you're doing a layover?
Yeah.
Dang.
That was the only like thing that was available
Yeah.
that I could find for a reasonable price. And then Uber like 40 minutes to my hotel, and then wake up in the morning, spend the whole day with him, and then go to sleep, wake up at probably like 3 a.m. to Uber to the airport by like 4, and then my flight leaves at 5:15. But that one's not as bad of a layover. It's a really short layover, so that one's like 3 hours shorter total than the trip there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely going to mess up my routine a little bit, that's for sure. But I'm excited. These things are like, to me, they're like fireworks of opportunity.
Yeah.
And when you go out and you say, yes, I'm going to just explode this firework out, there's things that happen that you could never have expected otherwise, never have found, never have done on your own. But because they set off like this chain of events, that somehow you end up with this crazy result, and people are like, how did you do that? Like, well,
Yeah.
you have to trace it back 5 different steps.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like, if you would have never taken this step in the first place, which most people don't, then you wouldn't have led it to step 1, 2, which is 3, 4,
Yeah,
5, 6, to get where you actually wanted to go. And so that's how I feel about these things. Is just
Yeah. Dude, just think about the podcast. Like, we just started it. We just started it, and then out of nowhere, Johnny hits us up. Out of
Dude.
nowhere, episode 5, we have a studio.
Yeah.
And then even when we don't have a studio, out of nowhere, we're working with this dude Josh, who just has the freaking setup, dude, and the connections and everything. Like, and who knows how all that will play out, but things just like fall into place sometimes when you just do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's momentum.
It is momentum.
It's momentum.
It
Yeah.
is 100%. And you got to do everything you can to keep it going.
Yeah. 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 That's been, I mean, yeah. That's just something that's so true, even in just like daily life for me. Because even just yesterday, like we went to freaking Chewy's and had that giant meal, and then I get home and Nathan's like, "Dude, what? There's like 4 tubs of ice cream in the freezer." So I had a giant freaking cup of Cookie Two-Step, dude. And then I just feel like crap. I'm like, man, But then I just decided, like, you know what? I don't want to start my week like this.
Mm.
So I just went to the gym. So I never go to the gym on
Dang.
Sundays. Like, never.
Dang.
Yeah, I've always just like, oh, Sunday's like my day. Sunday's like, I'm just gonna like treat myself and just like be lazy or whatever. But I was like, forget that, dude. Like, I'm starting this week right.
Let's go.
So something as small as that,
Yeah.
it just like catapults me
Yes.
into the start of the week. And I just feel great. I feel
Mm.
I have that momentum going into the week. So
That's so true.
it like those, I just love how those principles work on the small level, like
Mhm.
individual level, and then even just like on bigger, in the grand scheme of things, like
Yeah.
flying to freaking California
Yeah.
to meet somebody and everything. Yeah.
Well, I'm proud of us for at least getting something in after all that.
That was rough.
That was a challenge and that was a
That
struggle in
was-
itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
Man.
we're practicing what we preach.
Yeah.
Walk it like we talk it, man. All right, well,
Well,
I have no idea when this is going to be posted, but thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
until next time.
Peace.
I want to talk to you. Not now, later. No, now.